Hi, this was my first marathon, and the entire experience was really very empowering because you get the support from the fellow club members and the medical advice and the health advice. And it was just the idea that if you set your mind to something and you ask for help along the way, you can get to the conclusion. And so it was really very positive, and stick with it, do it.
You do it? No.
Hi, my name is Leo Blackmon. Last year was my first marathon. It took me 4 hours, 35 minutes. This year I beat that time by 3 minutes. I figured out at this rate, it's going to take me about 60 years to qualify for the Boston Marathon. But I enjoyed it. I especially want to thank the volunteers. I'm the guy that asked for one of each in each hand. I was running every mile. I don't think I missed one station. And we have to have lessons on how to run with a cup in each hand. I think that slowed me down a little bit. And that was the main thing I want to tell everybody, that this is a really great effort by everybody. Everybody works together, and it was a lot of fun.
Hi, my name is Bruce, and I originally started running in 1986 in order to quit smoking cigarettes. And here, 6 years down the line, I've done 12 marathons. I've done 10 of them with this club. And I started doing a 4:29 marathon, and this one I've just done in 3:23, which is my second best New York marathon. The main lesson that I've learned running is that you can rearrange your priorities, that you can accept yourself as you are and not be dependent upon the constraints that society places on you, and you can make a life of your own that most people never dream of, and just concerned with your physical well-being and your mental well-being, and be completely self-dependent. So I encourage all of you to stick with it. Usually we start off with about 300 people here the first day, and a lot of people just sort of flake off. But another of the main things that I've learned from marathoning is patience. It takes a lot of patience, but if you stick with it for a year or 2 or 3, you'll reap the rewards, and the changes that you'll incorporate in your life are lifelong. They're just invaluable.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah, Bruce.
Go, Gary, go, go, go. How was the name given to me in the streets? This Latino fellow. I turn around and I say, well, where's Gary? Gary, come over here. This was my first marathon, and I did terrific. Actually, when I came to the 59th Street Bridge, and I couldn't believe the amount of time that I was generating by that. But after that, was it. I started walking really slow. And Gary, at some of the lecture here, he said, well, you are not running. Just imagine that a ray of light is pulling you. And I get to, guy, where's my light? Where's my light? And eventually, really, it worked. It worked because he's so positive, so enthusiastic about this thing of being just yourself, and say, well, it's not only me, some strange force is behind you, and it really worked. And I thank you very much. You did a great job for all of us, and I thank you very much to the volunteers that at some point, at my friends at the 20-point mile, when given the magma, I was just down, and yeah. From that point on, I was looking for magma all over. Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
I am not 90, but I'm getting there.
How old are you?
This a half of 150.
25.
In other words, it's my first 75. That's my second marathon. Last year, it was joy, a giant adventure of fun, and it made me get to know myself in a way that I never did know myself before. This year, I came in at 6:21, considering the time with the stopover for things you have to do on the course. So I still saved 20 minutes. Took me less 20 minutes time than last year. Now this year experience was, in addition to what I felt in the previous marathon, gave me a sense of stability. See, at my age, at 75, it means a lot. Contrary to the notion of aging, that we all feel that we are aging every day, every year, I felt kind of stable because I was more enthusiastic about this marathon and the way I did it than a year before. So perhaps it's the calendar that gets older, not the people who participate in exercises so far. It was a great day, and I had no problems at all. The last 4 miles was a little bit on the slow side, but I made it. So what I'm suggesting is everyone who is less than 75, if you want to do the marathon at age 75, listen to what Gary has to say about mental health, about thinking, and about nutrition, and you will all do it. You will all do the marathon, I assure you. Thanks a lot, Gary.
By the way, one of the things that we did in the marathon, and some of you, Peter in the back, Peter, you want to come up, and some of the other guys in the back and tell about your experience? Is we ran it together. And you're going to learn both running and walking, both. You won't learn just running and you won't learn just walking. If you primarily want to run, you're going to learn 70% running, 30% walking. That's your schedule. Or if you want to walk, you'll be walking 70% and running 30%. We do crossover exercises. Every part of the body is exercised. You don't have to give yourself at this point any goal outside of simply accepting that you're going to do something with your body day to day. We literally train day to day. And you're going to learn how these people did it. It was such a fabulous feeling. There were a bunch of us, Bruce and some of the other fellows here I see. We ran it as a pack. And when one guy would start to fall back a little bit, we'd form a cocoon around that person. Do a visualization. Suddenly his energy would pull right back up, where otherwise he might have dropped out. That's the strength and power. When we're training out here, part of our training is running with someone in perfect stride for stride, motion for motion. And running, we've had as many as 50 people running as if one step hit the ground. You couldn't hear but one step with 50 people running. That's how synced they were. That's that visualization and guide. You'll be able to do that in any part of your life. It enhances and strengthens everything. This is Franco Pantone. Franco will be working with you. He is one of the premier race walking coaches. He ran this marathon. This is his first running marathon, and which is a nice experience. He's a world-class athlete. In fact, he took a gold medal on the American team for the first place team in the World Games last year in Seattle. So you're dealing with a man who can teach you and also is an inspiration. By the way, all of our teachers, all of our coaches are themselves top athletes and multiple athletes. For instance, Dr. Howard Robbins is a nationally ranked judo instructor. And Peter Roth is in the martial arts, running. So it is my belief that you really shouldn't be teaching something that yourself you haven't mastered. And I'm a great believer in the mastery of life. So we are going to share with you everything that we feel that has benefited us. And by the way, every lesson that you're learning, you're learning because we've learned it first. We want to prevent the mistakes that we make from you having to make. Every mistake you can make in running a marathon, I've done. Everyone. Not drinking enough water. Liz was talking about water. We did the Marine Corps marathon where they didn't have any water until the 12th mile mark. And then it was not water, it was ice cubes. Now this goes back 12 years ago, and guys were passing an ice cube around. That's all we had. Running a marathon in racing flats. I mean, everything you could do wrong. Not knowing about Vaseline, and then running like you had straddled a horse by the 18-mile mark. See all these guys running like this out there. Their legs were so chapped up through here. Or holding your shirt out like this. I'm talking about the men, because the nipples are just raw. And you learn. That's why when we say you put a big gob of Vaseline on your breast before you do a long workout, you do that. And why you don't wear the tight headbands. Might look good in a movie, but you're cutting off circulation to the brain. What do you eat before and after? What do you eat when you're training? What nutrients do you require? And some of the times you will take the information that you're learning back to someone who might be a physician or a runner. Now remember, there are an awful lot of doctors and professionals. In fact, most people who do marathon training or long distance training are professional people. And that's fine. They're generally highly motivated people. But they frequently have opinions and ideas that are absolutely the opposite of ours, which is okay, fine. I don't mind what they do with their lives. But don't automatically accept that if they say, well, you don't need any kind of special diet. Look at us. We eat anything. And then they'll say, well, Bill Rogers had, every kind of sugar and junk food before a race and after a race. And you'll hear him talking about drinking coffee at every aid station in a race. In fact, there was a 40K race in New Jersey, and a guy had super caffeine beverages at every single mile mark. Jolt it was called. And he was wired. I said, how are you, Lon? He says, fine! Are you? Ah! So, man, it'd be something living with him out there. And so we'll talk about what your adrenal glands really need. And we'll tell you about vitamins and minerals and how they impact upon the body. Now, they can say, we don't take any vitamins. We don't need vitamin C. Ask them how long it took them to recover after a marathon. Then ask some of the people who take the right vitamins and minerals. And you'll see a difference. And again, for a long time, I never took a vitamin or mineral for almost 5 years in my earlier training. And then I started realizing that I didn't have the recuperation, and we test things. We test for a long time, 6 months, 9 months. Then we suggest things to you, but only after we've tested them. But even that, we're going to get into biological differences, because your body may need less or more of something. But you'll be the final judge. You'll be the person who's the ultimate expert, not someone telling you, oh, that doesn't make a difference. When we train on the hills, I developed a technique where you can close your right eye. It shuts down the left brain. And so when you're going up a hill and you're looking down, it seems as if you're going down a hill. And suddenly you don't have the stress of going up a hill. Now, no one else does that. But when you're in a marathon or long distance running, how many of you have tried that technique in the group and found that it works?
Yeah, it works.
Big difference, right?
Extremely big.
So who's the expert? The person that's never tried it and says, oh, that couldn't work, or the person who does it and finds that it does work? Part of what this group is about, and part of what makes us different than the Roadrunners Club or the Achilles Club or all the others, and they're all good clubs, they all serve a function, is that we are the only group in America that I'm aware of that trains holistically. We'll use meditation and yoga and vegetarianism and all forms of stress management and self-actualization and human potential in our training. Remember, power walking and running are metaphors for changing your life. And that's what this whole process is about. If it were just to come out here every Sunday so you could get faster, I'd have no interest in doing that, because there are a lot of good clubs that can train you to be fast. We're not about fastness. That's only a side effect of what happens. You will get fast, but you're going to get healthy in the process. So winning isn't as important as growth. I mean, we've been in races where a year and a half ago, Franco and I were in a race in a national championship, and we were right up in the lead, and we would have won. In fact, we were going to cross the finish line together, holding hands, because we were saying, well, who's got what you do generally is, in a race, you pace each other, and then in the last half mile to a mile, depending upon the distance of the race, whoever's got the best goes for it. But we were both feeling about equal, so we thought, let's just go across and confuse them, make them split a trophy down the middle. That'll really freak them out.
What do you? Right arm.
Yeah, but then we passed someone who was having trouble, and this was an important race, so we slowed down to encourage that person. And it took about 4 or 5 minutes to get them back into the race. Well, the other people passed us, and we didn't even place in that race. It didn't matter to us. And the guy at the end who we helped says, that was stupid. You helped me and you lost. We said, what did we lose? We didn't lose anything. What, a trophy? I got 400 trophies. I've won 400 races. What, I got to win another race? I said, it doesn't mean anything. The winning is not important. It isn't. What's important is improving. So when someone says that they won, what they generally are saying is they did something they haven't done before. They generally did it faster. Then it's fine. Then you're doing something for the right reason. So you'll see that. You'll see it in Sam Skinner. You'll see it in Thelma Wilson. You'll see it in Oslug and Althea, right over here. Althea, how old are you now? 73? You did the marathon? She's going to do it in the spring. Althea's a great athlete. In fact, she was one of the athletes of the year this past year. And Queenie Thompson. Queenie never says anything. If I don't look carefully, I can't see her. There she is. Did you do the New York Marathon, Queenie?
No.
You did? Oh, did, first in the age group in the 5K in Chicago. Queenie's always doing something. Poor Queenie, she goes to these national championships where there are 5 or 10 competitions. She wins them all, puts all these gold medals around, and then she can't move. Where's Queenie? She's stationary somewhere. She's one of the sweetest human beings. What you also find, you'll find some really nice people in the group. And it's socialize and have fun with it. And we've got some other people here. Come on up here, Peter. Some of the rest.
What do you want me to tell these people?
Your experience.
Okay, this was my second marathon, and I had wondered whether the second marathon would be as great as the first. There's only one first. It was just as good. It's so empowering. It's one of the finest things you can do. What can't I do if I can run a marathon? I was just like you 2 years ago. Run 26 miles, it sounds ridiculous, but I've done it, and now I've done it twice. What can I do? Stick with it.
Thank you, Peter.
Right, Peter. How do I hold that? My name is Kevin Ravel. This is the first marathon that I had the opportunity to run, and I guess in line with what Peter said, it has the power of flushing a lot of the negativity out of your life. I spent the whole year with the training, and then I went through periods where I didn't train so well. But I know, as Gary just said, it gives you that opportunity to grow. And so it was a delightful experience, and for me, it's the beginning of a brand new journey. And it's a great experience. Thank you.
By the way, one of the people here just 3 weeks ago was injured and was not going to do the marathon until Mortimer loaned him a magnet. He used the magnet, slept with the magnet every night, and was able to do the marathon. You're going to learn about working around injuries. I had a severe injury that happened when I hit a rock running in the road just a week before the national championships, and should have been out altogether, should not have been able to run at all, and was able to run with the elite runners in our group at a fast pace in this marathon. The key is you'll learn how to use, how to bypass injuries and work on other muscle groups. You'll compensate in other ways. So if you do have a problem, don't worry about that problem. By the way, Is Dan Aliberti here? Dan Aliberti? All right. If anybody knows Dan, tell him, please come. We'll find people to train with him. Dan is blind, and he trains very hard, but he didn't run the marathon. I didn't know. I could have gotten him someone had I known. So we want to make sure that Dan knows that we'll work with him.
All right. Well, a lot's been said here, and I guess I'm not sure. Fred. It was my first marathon. I finished in 3:50. I'm pretty excited. The medal was a real delight to receive. I mean, I'm not one of these people that has medals on the wall. The last medal I think I received was in high school for Honor Society or something like this. So, I mean, receiving the medal was just part of it. I mean, going through the process of running the marathon, that's the real joy. The medal is kind of a souvenir. And as Gary says, training with this group is, in essence, that is the marathon. You train very hard for 6 months to a year. In that time, you build up confidence, and you really begin to believe you can actually do this. And a year ago, in 1990, I was training for a period of about 6 months, and my knee wasn't feeling too well, and I kind of just copped out. I just said, I'm not going to do it. And this is another point that Gary makes, is that it's very easy to make excuses. It's very easy to say, well, it's the knee, you know, it's the schedule, it's the work, whatever. And you basically have to say, well, this is important to me, and I'm going to do this. It means something to me. And it's meant a lot to me. And this group has meant a lot. And it's been a really important process and changes in my own life. So I really thank Gary and the group, and the volunteers were great. And there's a lot to learn yet. So it's a long process. So thanks.
Good. Okay.